My workouts would last normally in the region of 6 minutes. I was in and out of the gym probably within 10 to 15 minutes, which was incredibly efficient sort of approach to training. And I've found it personally that I've always given a better performance when supervised. In fact, I'm doing personal bests on every single machine.
Welcome to Corporate Warrior, the podcast that brings you the best advice on how to improve your health, optimize performance, and maximize productivity. With your host, Lawrence Neal.
This podcast is brought to you by HitUni.com. HitUni are a provider of amazing online courses for high-intensity training qualifications. HitUni comes highly recommended by the best in the field, including Bodyweight Science author Dr. Doug McGuff, Discover Strength CEO Luke Carlson, and trainer Drew Bay. It was founded by my friend, author, and longtime personal trainer Simon Shawcross. Simon has 15 years experience training clients and has supervised over 15,000 high-intensity training workouts. Using knowledge from experts like Skylar Tanner, Dr. James Steele, and Dr. Ellington Darden, HitUni is a goldmine for learning everything to do with high-intensity training. The courses are delivered online through the website, where you can learn via a variety of multimedia materials at your own pace. There's online support and a discussion forum where you can share ideas and ask for help. To learn more about high-intensity training and improve my own results, I started their personal trainer course. The content is amazing, and the courses are really easy to follow, and each section is organized into bite-sized chunks that give you a real sense of achievement after you complete each one. I should also mention that there is a DIY course. So this is the course for you if you're not necessarily a personal trainer, but you want to learn more about high-intensity training and how to implement it for maximum benefit in your own exercise regimen. To get your exclusive Corporate Warrior 10% discount on any course you purchase, simply head on over to hituni.com, that's hituni.com, and enter the coupon code CW10. That's CW and the number 10. So again, that's hituni.com, pick your course, and enter the coupon code CW10. Thank you for your support. Hi there, welcome to another episode of Corporate Warrior with your host, Lawrence Neal. This podcast was inspired by my insatiable appetite to learn how to optimize health, business, and lifestyle. I interview a wide range of experts to find out how to improve physical appearance. What are the most effective and efficient workout protocols? What does optimal nutrition look like? How do you start a business? What are the most important activities to focus on to grow your business quickly? And lastly, what hacks can we employ in daily life to make our lifestyle more fulfilling? My guests include the biggest names in health and fitness through to the not so well names, but nonetheless very, very knowledgeable underground experts. Personal trainers, New York Times best-selling authors, highly successful and well-known business owners, through to not so well-known but nonetheless successful startup entrepreneurs that you can relate to, life hackers and finance gurus. In this episode, I dive into a really detailed review of my current workout and diet regimen, which is heavily influenced by the guests I've had on the show. I think you will enjoy this episode if you're interested in learning the following: how to employ a highly efficient and effective workout into your lifestyle, the benefits of high-intensity training, and specifically bodyweight training, and how bodyweight training can be implemented with very little equipment and space, how to tweak your training program to enable progression and achieve better results, and lastly, how to eat to maximize muscle mass whilst minimizing fat gain. Please enjoy this podcast with yours truly, Lawrence Neal. Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of Corporate Warrior with your host, Lawrence Neal. I'm coming to you on a dreary Sunday morning in Hammersmith, London, UK. But hopefully the content of this podcast will be exciting and will get me out of the slump that quite often the British weather puts me in the morning. This episode is about giving you a detailed view of my current workout regimen and my diet. I wanted to go into some serious detail on this to see if that's something that you guys would be interested in learning about. Obviously, a lot of what I do in terms of lifestyle, productivity, exercise, diet, etc., is heavily influenced by the guests I've had on the podcast and their work. This is a bit of an experiment, an in-between episode, if you will, to see, as I don't have a guest this week. So let me know what you think on the blog or in a review. You can get all the show notes to this on 15minutecorporatewarrior.com/podcasts. So let's talk about exercise. So I was doing a Body by Science two-way split protocol at Keyser Training in Mornington Crescent in London. I was exercising once a week, and they use Medix machines, and most of you will probably be familiar with that type of machine. Medix are a very high-quality resistance machine, which is very hard to come by, especially in the UK and in London. So having done Body by Science for a few years, I started, like many people, with the Big Five. I'd advanced to a two-way split. So if you haven't read Body by Science and that means nothing to you, then I would definitely start with reading the book and understanding what some of these things mean. And if I recall correctly, my A routine was a pull-down, chest press and leg press, and my B routine was a seated row, overhead press and calf raise, and I also threw in some neck work. So I do like some neck work on a four-way neck machine once a week as well, normally at the beginning of the workout. So I would only do one of those routines once a week. I would do single set to failure. I would have minimal rest between exercises, normally just enough time between in order to set up the machines. And my cadence was typically 5 to 10 seconds, although to be honest with you, I never really measured it that in terms of what it was rep to rep. I would obviously measure time under load, but I was always more focused on slow turnarounds and good form. I knew that as long as I was moving slow and under control, that it didn't really matter, I don't believe, what the cadence really is. But typically it's probably 5 to 10 seconds. And my workouts would last normally in the region of 6 minutes. I was in and out of the gym probably within 10 to 15 minutes, which was incredibly efficient sort of approach to training. So at the time, I was also training for a biannual competitive basketball match. So I was doing 2 intense basketball sessions every week, which involved scrimmages, so, competitive games. And I was also doing 1 less intense basketball session focused on skills, so working on jump shots and layups and stuff like that. In terms of my diet, I was eating high-fat, low-carb, a la Dave Asprey's Bulletproof Diet, so I got a lot of inspiration from his heuristic on diet, and I tracked body composition over an 8-week period using BodPod, and I'd actually lost fat and gained muscle over that period. So my body composition improved quite, in my opinion, quite significantly, and that was very interesting to see. Even though I was only doing strength training once a week for 6 minutes, but obviously I was doing basketball 2 to 3 times a week as well. However, sadly, as many of you know, Keyser London has unfortunately closed several months ago. So with that, I decided to start doing bodyweight training. I thought, I have pretty much everything at home that I require to do a bodyweight training program, and that would make it more efficient, and I don't have to travel to North London anymore to exercise, and less expensive, and obviously training from home is free. So I started out using the workouts and principles described in Chris Highcock's Hill Fit ebook, which is a wonderful introduction to safe and effective exercise, and it's written specifically for people interested in improving their strength for hill walking. Great book, great introduction to high intensity strength training, and also things like mobility work. Just fantastic all-round book and great introduction to this kind of thing. So I'd done this type of strength training in the past, and I wasn't really intimidated by things like chin-ups. But I did not expect a full-body, high-intensity training bodyweight workout to be so intense and exhausting. When I was first having a go at this kind of thing, I'd really struggled to go to momentary muscular failure. I had to do 2 sets in some instances just to get there. I found that I had been doing the Body by Science type regimen on machines for long enough that I'd really honed the skill of exercising with those machines. So I suppose I had somewhat become quite comfortable with the intensity in that specific exercise regimen. But with bodyweight, it was new and novel and really quite challenging to start with, and still is very challenging. But after doing these workouts for a while, I found myself to become quite lazy. I became quite inconsistent with my workouts. I wasn't training very regularly. I wasn't measuring my variables very rigorously, so I'd go from workout to workout, not really knowing if I should have added in more recovery days or reviewed other factors in my lifestyle. I really wasn't measuring very rigorously at all. My diet was not great. There would be 4 or 5 days where I'd eat really well, and then I'd just kind of fall off the wagon. And I was just poorly motivated. And all of this stems from, for me, not having solid fitness goals. A goalless regimen for me just doesn't work. I just don't have the discipline I've certainly found for me to follow a regimen unless I've got a goal I'm aiming towards. I think some people who I admire don't necessarily have set goals, and they just understand the benefits of having a certain lifestyle, eating a certain diet, and training in a certain way. And I really admire that. But for me, it's I'm a very goal-oriented person, so that helps me stay motivated. So as a result of, not having goals I was aiming towards, and that basically making me quite unmotivated and not very consistent in my approach to exercise and diet, I'd actually lost some muscle mass. So I dropped to a weight that my ego wasn't very comfortable with. And so I decided, I need to pack on a bit more muscle and set some goals to do that. So I decided to embark on Drew Bay's Project Kratos, which you can review and purchase through his website. I'll link in the show notes for that. And everything I mention on this podcast, I will provide links to. Drew's workout program is a bodyweight workout program and designed to help one build muscle mass and strength with just body weight. And this was ideal for me. Obviously, as I mentioned before, I'd left Kieser and decided that the saving in terms of time and money really made it worthwhile for me to embrace this type of training program. Although I will say, I do still miss machines dearly. And if I had a gym nearby that had really, really high quality equipment, I would probably still train there. I also have come to realize there's a lot of value in having supervision from an experienced trainer. I did a recent podcast with James Fisher and Luke Carson, and they really kind of confirmed that they see much better results from people who are supervised by experienced trainers. And I've found it personally that I've always given a better performance when supervised. In fact, I remember quite well, this must have been several years back, my girlfriend supervised me doing a Body by Science Big 5 workout, and I'd been pretty much plateauing in terms of time under load and resistance for weeks, if not months. And she came along, and suddenly I'm doing personal bests on every single machine with excellent form. Obviously, she was helping me with my form as she understands the principles. So that was very, very interesting. And, I wanted her to come back every workout after that, but obviously she's got more important things to do with her time. Anyway, I digress. So yes, I've been doing the Project Kratos regime. I've done 3 workouts so far, and they are extremely tough. I've decided to do a modified version of Project Kratos, which is a workout within the Project Kratos ebook. So the 10 exercises in my workout are chin up, push up, squat, inverted row, overhead barbell press, which I'm doing instead of a pike push-up, which is recommended in the book, a prone trunk extension, crunch, heel raise, and time static contraction, neck extension, and neck flexion. I've had to be quite creative with some of these exercises since I have a small one-bed flat in Hammersmith, London. So, for example, with the inverted row, I had to actually get what is basically my knockoff version of a TRX and tie it on my stair banister at an angle so that I'm kind of, I'm performing an inverted row with my body almost horizontal to the floor, parallel to the floor, because the landing is slightly below where my banister is. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's the closest thing I could get to creating an inverted row setup in my flat, to be honest with you. So in terms of the protocol, I'm doing a single set to failure, 3 to 4 second cadence. So I am finding certainly with Bodyweight that a slightly brisker cadence than a machine workout is certainly would seem easier to perform, although this I do vary the cadence and the pauses at max contraction and at certain parts of the range of motion to make these exercises more difficult, which I'll come on to. Although I should say there's still a strong emphasis on a slow and controlled movement with good form. So I started off for me working out with 2 workouts per week for the first 6 to 8 weeks of this program, and that's more frequent actually than I'm used to doing. But that is because I'm focusing on the skill acquisition aspect. So making sure that because as Drew says in the ebook, the first 6 to 8 weeks of any workout regimen are the strength gains you see are not necessarily an improvement in absolute strength, but actually improvement in your body's ability to perform the movement and your nervous system becoming more efficient, because your body will always look for shortcuts. Will try and be able to be more effective and efficient at moving a level of resistance, and kind of adding muscle mass is going to be kind of a last resort, as it's a very expensive thing for your body to do. So that's kind of the reason for the increased frequency during the first 6 to 8 weeks. Drew actually recommends 3 times a week, but since I'm not really a beginner and I'm able to deal quite a lot of damage to myself, I've decided to cut that down to twice a week, and then I will probably, as I progress, I'll probably then reduce that to maybe once a week, depending on how things go. So obviously explain the reason for the increased frequency. I will say that I'm finding the first 5 exercises so intense and exhausting that I do struggle to go to momentary muscular failure on the prone trunk extension and the crunch. So the first sort of 4 or 5 exercises just absolutely take it out of me. So I'm finding that as I do each workout, I do get better at developing that mental toughness, which I suppose is another benefit of an increased frequency at the beginning of a regimen like this, is building up your mental toughness, so your ability to cope with the muscular discomfort with some of these exercises. So I think that is one of the benefits of a greater frequency at the beginning. The progression is very interesting in this. Drew's created he teaches progression by making the exercise harder by either modifying the range of motion to emphasize the harder portion, so like the bottom portion of a squat, for example, or he makes it more difficult by changing the levers. So, for example, in the case of a prone trunk extension, he advises you straighten your arms out directly in front of you, as opposed to out to the sides, to increase the actual resistance moment arm and the overall difficulty. So, obviously, it's not as easy as just adding weights to a barbell or weights to the weight stack on a machine. So you have to be a little bit more creative in order to increase the difficulty of your exercises and continue to get stronger and progress through your workouts. I'm also enjoying the stoic quality of the workouts. So even though I'm kind of missing machines and I'm a bit like, oh, maybe I should just join a gym. This is too challenging. I think this is a good thing, because this is getting me used to the challenge of a bodyweight workout and sort of conquering this type of training. I see people like James Steele, and you can see his HIIT workout on YouTube where he's doing a bodyweight workout. And it's just phenomenal. He's doing these really long time under loads, all these different types of bodyweight exercises, including push-ups and chin-ups and wall sits and things like that. And he's just doing it for excellent form, and it's very inspiring. So I'm sort of using that as my template, if you will. I'm also learning that I can take a full body weight workout, or should say a full body workout. Sorry. that I can take anywhere with me. So with it being Bodyweight or using very, very limited equipment and none in some instances, I know that if I'm traveling or if I'm in I'm in a position in my life where I don't have access to equipment or gyms, that I can just I can perform a workout that can challenge all of my muscles in my body and provide the same benefits as a workout with access to lots of machines. And I don't necessarily need access to a gym, which is a very useful skill to have and useful knowledge to have. So some of these exercises I'm fairly advanced at, such as the lower body exercises like the squat, and in others, such as the inverted row, I am not so experienced at. So, for instance, in the squat, I'm kind of towards the upper end of Drew Bay's progression system. I'm pausing in the lower position for greater difficulty, and I'm only actually doing partial range of motion. So I'm doing a range of movement. So I'm doing the lower portion of the squat, and this is far more challenging than obviously the upper portion where you're almost standing straight. But conversely, with something like the inverted row, I'm doing a rather average level where I'm just continuously moving through the movement, and my time under load is not very impressive. So it's interesting how I vary in performance on the different exercises quite significantly. So during and after each workout, I am taking many notes and reviewing my workouts to make sure that I'm always improving. So trying to correct any mistakes I might make. As I always think with bodyweight exercises, there's so much more room for error, and there's more things to think about. And I'm also trying to make sure I'm always improving my exercise form. Drew has provided some excellent workout sheets on his website that are free to download and print as well, and you can find them on bay.com, but again, I'll link to that in the show notes. So what else am I doing at the moment? So as I said, I'm doing Project Kratos twice per week. A couple of things I am doing alongside. I'm playing basketball once a week as well, or at least trying as a minimum to do once a week. That's purely recreation. I love basketball, and I love always trying to improve and get better at that sport. So I do that as well. And I'm just trying to ramp up my general activity. I'm always trying to add in new sports and activities, not for the sake of necessarily, trying to master any of them or anything like that, but more just to create some more variety and try and schedule more movement and activity in my life. So that's something that I'm trying to commit to every week as well. In terms of the diet, so I'll give you a real detailed look into the diet that I'm doing, which I've noticed actually quite a significant difference quite early on, which is quite interesting. So in line with this workout, I'm following a modified Project Kratos diet regimen. So as per Drew's advice, I'm consuming about 17 calories per pound of body weight. So when I started this, I was 159 pounds. So I'd lost a fair bit of weight since I was quite a bit heavier than that before. So that works out to be about 2,703 calories per day. So I'm using MyFitnessPal to track calorie consumption. The diet consists of mostly whole food. It's not hugely complicated. I'm just trying to eat real food, but I do, for convenience purposes, I do include the odd Quest protein bar or Exo protein bar or whey protein for convenience, and where it's difficult for me to eat whole food at some points of the day. The macros are mostly fat and protein, and most of my carbs are eaten with my evening meal. I do think the quality of food is very important for optimal health and best results. So if you can buy the best food that you can afford, I do always advocate that. So in terms of an example of a normal day or an average day, I'll typically start a day at the moment with a 4-egg omelette. And I normally cook that in coconut oil. And then for lunch, I'll have organic grass-fed burgers again, cooked in coconut oil, and then served with a head of broccoli, typically seasoned with sea salt and Kerrygold butter. In terms of snacks, I might have a bag of cashews and a whey protein shake, and currently consuming protein from the Organic Protein Company. and their product, which is a grass-fed protein. And then for dinner, I'm typically having organic grass-fed lamb chops with white rice, green beans, again all seasoned with Kerrygold butter. And then I will snack maybe after that on some organic dark chocolate, 85% green and blacks normally. So right there, my calorie intake was around 2,800. Obviously, that's very approximate. Appreciate that. Even perhaps some of the food brands don't necessarily measure their calories perfectly accurately. And in terms of some things I've learned through eating to this volume, which is a lot more than I'm used to eating. Previously I realized I was eating sort of 2,000 calories a day. So now I'm eating 700 to 800 calories a day more, which at first became quite challenging, but over time I've sort of been able to adapt to that, and it's become quite normal. But I realized that, even though I was strength training somewhat regularly, although as mentioned before, I did my consistency did drop off. With my calories dropping so low, I think it was difficult for my body to maintain the muscle mass that I built up. So hence the drop in weight. I will say one of the biggest kind of hacks to how do you consume enough calories, certainly if you're someone who struggles to eat a lot of food, is eating nuts. Nuts are absolutely full of calories, and they're relatively healthy. So probably better than eating, a protein bar, for instance. For instance, the other day I had a pack of cashews. I didn't realize, but the bag was 700 calories. I had no idea I was consuming that much, and in fact I probably went overkill and consumed too much. But it just shows that if you're able to snack on something like nuts, so almonds, cashews, macadamia nuts, that kind of thing between meals, you are going to be able to hit your quota much more easily. In terms of cheat meals, I'm not having a cheat day or anything like that, but I will perhaps have a cheat meal once or twice a week. I try not to, if I'm honest with you. I try just to eat really well all the time. But if I'm socializing, I might have the other week I had, I think, a pizza and some beer, which I always feel bad afterwards. But if I'm eating really well 80-90% of the time, then at the moment that seems to serve me quite well. And I don't get stressed out about, if I do have a bad meal, for instance. Alongside this workout, I'm doing a supplement regime as well, and I'm trying to improve the markers, my biomarkers that I think will help in improving workout to workout and increasing my strength and muscle mass. So I did some blood tests via LiveSmart, so livesmart.com. You can do 23andMe, and I'm sure in the US they've got a bunch of alternatives for this type of thing. So I started off with looking at my vitamin D. I was 88 nanomolars per litre, which apparently is quite healthy according to Alex Fergus, who I had on the podcast. And in fact, the LiveSmart graph showed it to be in a normal range, but I'm interested in seeing if I can improve on that and perhaps be in a more optimal range. So I'm taking currently 10,000 international units a day, 5,000 in the morning, 5,000 at night, to help optimize that. But I will be tracking it closely because I understand that having too much is not good either. So I will reduce that dose if that happens when I review my blood tests. I'm also doing krill oil. So on days where I don't eat fish, or if I haven't eaten fish for a few days, I'll supplement with krill oil for omega-3, DHA, and EPA. And I'm having about 1,200 milligrams per day. I'm also taking butter oil fermented cod liver oil blend, and I'm taking 2 capsules per day upon waking and before bed. So, 2 in the morning and 2 before bed. Cod liver oil is full of healthy fatty acids and vitamin A and vitamin D and things like that. And then also I'm taking 5 grams of creatine per day and 10 grams of BCAAs before my workout, 10 grams after, and 10 grams on the following day. And that's following Doug's advice, which I think we discussed on the latest podcast we had together. And that is mainly for recovery purposes. So I hope that you found that interesting and useful. That is essentially my diet and exercise lifestyle regimen at the moment. If you liked this episode, I would really appreciate if you do me a tiny favor, tiny in terms of the time it takes you to do, and leave me a review on iTunes, as this makes a massive difference to the success of this show. My understanding is if I have more reviews on iTunes, I'll have greater visibility in the internets. And if you don't know how to provide a review, because iTunes is annoying and complicated, do not worry, because I will add a link to some instructions on the blog post for this episode. And if you're still stuck, please just email me via the website. So that's 15minutecorporatewarrior.com. To find this episode and all of my episode show notes and resources, go to 15minutecorporatewarrior.com/podcasts. So that's 15 and then all spelled out minutecorporatewarrior.com. I'd also love to learn about your workouts and diet as well, and any criticism you might have of the workout I just described and the diet. So please do contribute your feedback in the comments on the blog post. I'd really appreciate that. And I do read all the comments. I do try and respond to them all. And that goes for emails as well. So if you email me, I do try to respond to every single email. Thanks very much for listening and have a great day. Take care. This podcast is brought to you by HitUni.com. HitUni are a provider of amazing online courses for high-intensity training qualifications. HitUni comes highly recommended by the best in the field, including Body by Science author Dr. Doug McGuff, Discover Strength CEO Luke Carlson, and trainer Drew Bay. It was founded by my friend, author and longtime personal trainer Simon Shawcross. Simon has 15 years experience training clients and has supervised over 15,000 high-intensity training workouts. Using knowledge from experts like Skylar Tanner, Dr. James Steele, and Dr. Ellington Darden, HitUni is a goldmine for learning everything to do with high-intensity training. The courses are delivered online through the website, where you can learn via a variety of multimedia materials at your own pace. There's online support and a discussion forum where you can share ideas and ask for help. To learn more about high-intensity training and improve my own results, I started their personal trainer course. The content is amazing, and the courses are really easy to follow, and each section is organized into bite-sized chunks that give you a real sense of achievement after you complete each one. I should also mention that there is a DIY course. So this is the course for you if you're not necessarily a personal trainer, but you want to learn more about high-intensity training and how to implement it for maximum benefit in your own exercise regimen. To get your exclusive Corporate Warrior 10% discount on any course you purchase, simply head on over to hituni.com, that's hituni.com, and enter the coupon code CW10. That's CW and the number 10. So again, that's hituni.com, pick your course, and enter the coupon code CW10. Thank you for your support.